So this talk is about continuous testing. Typically, DevOps is considered to have these phases of continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous testing, and continuous monitoring. And we are also known to have different environments, and a typical use case that has been discussed is you have your build from the dev environment, deploy it to testing, perform some kind of testing out there, promote it to staging environment, and then prod environment. And then people debate whether continuous testing needs to be done only in the test environment. So is continuous testing really just one phase in DevOps? I disagree. I believe that DevOps is actually all about continuous testing. So continuous testing or testing is no longer one particular phase, but it has to be done continuously at various phases and at different levels. Testing today sees a cultural shift because now we don't only talk about testing an application, but what we should be looking at is how can we mitigate business risk. This is actually still a gap in most organizations today. And this is also a result of need for speed. We cannot assume that yesterday's practices can meet today's demands, which are continuously evolving and growing. Today's software quality processes need to be re-engineered. Traditionally, testing was a time-boxed event. If increasing the release cadence is desired today, then the software process needs to be re-engineered. We need to think beyond test automation. We should look at a method in which the tests constructed indicate the probability of business failure associated with business risk. I have talked to a couple of clients where a large number of tests are written, and consider like out of say thousands of test cases, maybe out of 4,000 test cases, 3,990 tests pass. However, there are about 10 tests failing. Those 10 tests, if they are very important, then the release might be withheld. However, there might be a case where around 2,500 tests are passing, and the ones that are failing, so around 30% are going to fail, and yet the decision is made to release the build out into production. Hence, there is a shift in the quality management culture. It's critical to consider measuring the quality of the process itself. We want to continuously improve our system. Thus, continuous testing resets the question from are you done with your testing to is the level of risk understood and accepted. With this, I'll be talking about two use cases. The first one will highlight different phases of testing and how you can define a workflow to improve your software delivery, to pipeline, to add hooks for different types of testing. And also these tests should provide continuous good feedback and have it somewhere centrally on your dashboard. An example that we will run through is this Hello Build application, where if you see there is a Hello Build application which is trying to deploy something to the dev environment, and then in the first CI phase there is some kind of unit testing that has been run, but after deployment there are integration tests, UI tests which are done, and if everything passes, probably you're putting it into a pre-prod environment where workflow testing would be done. Example of how we can go, there will be some demos out of this. In the second use case, we'll be looking at Docker, where we would consider probably there is Docker for your applications, and then you would require some kind of configurations to be able to test properly. The second part is how about writing your tests which are also Dockerized. This is something you can consider with an example, and the source code will be given to you to play around. There's also another part we'll be considering is where we spin up new test instances for every test that you run and stash them away after the testing is done. So all of this will be covered in this demo. Thank you.